Hey church, it's Preston from Towr. I want to show you how you can use sales funnels to actually take people who don't even know about your church all the way to the point where they're assimilated without any time spent on your behalf, without any extra money, any hours from your staff, any additional people you need to hire. We'll eliminate all of that using a sales funnel that will automate that entire process from stranger to assimilated. I'm going to show you how right here. Now, with this sales funnel I've written up behind me, I'm going to assume that for this church, their assimilation process is to go to a discovery class. Well, first, fill out a Connect card, go to a discovery class, or essentials class, whatever your church may call it, kind of an intro to your church class, and then get in a small group, be involved in a small group. So here we go. At the very beginning, to start getting traffic, you might run some ads through Facebook, through Google, whatever that may be. So I'm gonna put up here Facebook, Google. And this one's going to be targeting a first-time person. So it might be a video of your pastor explaining, hey, here's what we got coming up this fall. We've got this big new series coming. You might not have been to church for a while and we want to introduce you back into our church. Or maybe it's revolving more around seeker type content. Maybe it's an apologetics series or a apologetics curriculum that one of your pastors put together. And you can target an ad to someone outside of the church that way and say, hey, we've put together this apologetics series where we talk about the basic questions, a lot of the fears and questions that people have about God, and we want to answer them. So that video is going to engage them, and they're going to click a link that's going to take them to what we kind of call a video sales letter in the business world, but it works for churches too. So I'm going to put VSL, video sales letter. And we usually use these when we are trying to warm up the customer to what we are about to sell them or offer them. So in this case, you're trying to warm up someone who has never been to your church to say, hey, we want you to engage with us. We want you to tell you who you are and either download this curriculum or show up to service, whatever that may be. So there might be a video, again, of your pastor saying, hey, here's what this fall series is going to be about. It's got a great formal letter right in here written. The pastor signs off on it. And right here it says, we want you to plan your first visit. We want you to come, show up, be a part of this fall series, plan your first visit. We're going to make it super easy for you. And a lot of churches are doing this and doing this successfully. So they click plan your own visit, and they're going to go to what we typically call a two-step checkout. Now, in this case, because in the case of the church, there's no checkout process. No one's giving you a credit card. But we use this in the business world, and it's going to work for you as a church too. And what we do is typically for a credit card transaction, let's say, we ask the person first for their first name, last name, email, phone number, just some basic contact information. And then we get their credit card information. And what we found is that when people see either credit card information or a lot of questions, a lot of times they look at that survey, if it's all on one page, and they leave. They look at all those questions they have to answer, the credit card information, and they leave. And the problem is you don't have their email, you don't have their name, their contact. So what we do here for you as a church that's going to increase the amount of people engaging with you is we make it a two-step process. So it kind of looks something like this. We're on the first page. It's indicated because this first little bubble up here is filled out. I think you can see that. And it's just going to ask their first name, last name, maybe email, phone number, but simple stuff. It could just be email. And then they're going to click this next button. And then we can maybe ask them for how many people they plan to come with. Have they ever visited our church? Have they visited other churches? What service time do they want to come to? What parking spot do they want? All of that kind of stuff. We can ask them on a second page. And the advantage for you in doing that two-step checkout, again, is that someone might fill this out and then they might bounce. They might leave after this without filling this out. The advantage is that you already have their name and email, and you can follow up with them via email, phone number, whatever that may be. So we go from this video sales letter to a two-step checkout process. And already once they fill that out, that's going to send them an email. Let's say this automates an email not only to the person who filled this out, but also to a church staff member saying, hey, the Johnson family is coming this Sunday. Maybe they fall in your age demographic, your jurisdiction. We want you to meet them at the 11 o'clock service. So it can also automate an email to your staff member, but it's going to send an email to the Johnson family saying, oh my gosh, we're so excited to see you. Maybe there's a video of the head pastor. Here's when you're coming. We look forward to having you. And maybe here's some things you need to know about our church to plan for your first visit. Whatever that might be, tips on childcare, tips on where to sit, where to park, all that kind of stuff. But after that, we're going to take them to what we kind of call a thank you plus enlightenment page. So really, this is more of an enlightenment page where after they filled out their information to come on their first visit, we say, oh my gosh, we're so excited to see you. But we use this enlightenment page for businesses and for churches whenever we have someone giving us their information and there's a lag time between when they actually show up to an event. So this we use for a lot of event-based businesses and then for you as a church. And what this page does is it starts to enlighten the congregant on who you are as a church. And really what we're trying to do with this page is we're already trying to build trust. We are trying to ensure that in that 4 days, 6 days between when they filled out this plan your visit card and page to when they actually show up to worship service, we want to make it as highly likely that they actually show up. And one of the great ways to do this is by building this enlightenment page that builds trust already before they've even shown up. So they then show up to your service. They show up, and then 1 week later, we're going to time an email, let's say 7 days later. We're going to have an email going out that says, hey, quick, next month, starting in 2 weeks, we've got a discovery class coming up, but you've got to hold your spot. Give them some urgency. And on that page, you can even put a countdown saying the amount of time they have till they can sign up. Whatever that may be, you're going to send them an email and say, hey, sign up for this discovery class before it's too late. There's a link in that email, maybe a video talking about here's what this really is and here's why you need to be there. They click that link and that's going to take them to a sign up page for the discovery class. And we use a page layout similar to this when we help companies build webinars, where right here, you have the sign up box. So this is where we actually get their information. We hold the spot. But down below this page, kind of in this section, what you can do is you can say, hey, here's what you're going to get. We actually give them a layout of the curriculum. Here's kind of what this next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, however long that class is. Here's what it's going to look like. And we can start to lay out that curriculum just a little bit. So that's going to encourage them to sign up. They know what they're getting themselves into. We've built trust with them. Now they've come to the service. They're ready to go to this discovery class. So they sign up. We're going to send them another email that says, can't wait to have you. Here's what to expect from the discovery class. And then as that class is going on, we're going to be continuing to be in communication with them. And not only live in that class, but also via email, we're then going to push them to small groups. Hey, you know about our church now. You've showed up to service. You've been here at least probably 6, 8 weeks. We would love to get you plugged into the community as soon as possible because we know, you as a church, if people in community, they're much more likely to stick. So they go onto the small groups page. Maybe there's a map right here where they can see small groups. They can see that this small group meets at this place and this time. This next small group meets at this place and this time. And we continue to push them to that small groups page. Now, one of the things we can also do, and I love using this, we use this in business a lot, it's something called a down sell. And you can use it in the church. So if they don't sign up for a small group, let's say after 1 week, they still aren't in a small group, you send another series of emails, and then in a month, they still aren't in a small group. Okay, so be it. They might not join a small group yet. What you can do is you can target them with a second series of emails that maybe just invites them to a Sunday school class or something. This is something that's less of a commitment and sacrifice for your congregant. In the business world, we use this by offering them a lower priced product. So they might buy one $40 product and we say, hey, you can also couple it with this $10 product. It's a smaller item. But here, we're not talking money, but we are talking sacrifice. Maybe a small group is just too much for them right now. They're scared, they're nervous, they're still getting to know your church. Okay, great. If you don't want to do that, here's a second option, and it could be the Sunday school. So then you push them towards a Sunday school class. There you go. So all of this is just a very simple example. What we typically do with churches after we've done this, and a lot of times it's more broad, more elaborate with more follow-up emails and how you delegate each task to your staff members. But what we do is we take this and we do it for each demographic of the church. So if your church is based on life stages, if that's kind of your model of church and how you've allocated your staff, then we're going to have at least one of these funnels for each life stage. If you are around a purpose model, worship, connect, grow, serve, we might have each of these funnels for each purpose within your church, gender-based, campus-based, geography, whatever that may be. You can build out 20 of these funnels that are going to begin to automate that whole process from a stranger to assimilated. You're going to see assimilation go way up in your church. You will save huge amounts of time from your team, your pastors, when they're sending random emails, they're trying to follow up with phone calls, set up events. All that stuff sucks up your time that you could be using, your staff could be using to pour into your people, to get back face to face with them. Let us do the marketing. Let these sales funnels work for you to increase that automation process, or that assimilation process, and automate the entire thing.